Hello, everybody, and welcome back to M&J Games, and welcome to my second bracket projection, or Jerry Palm's bracket projection, kind of filling out if this were the field, how would, in my opinion, it turn out. And I really appreciate everybody who watched the first one and gave your insights and thoughts. As you know, we all are ultimately, at the end of the day, taking educated guesses on based off our beliefs and what we've seen, what we think will happen. So only thing I want to do here is I want to kind of look at the last four in and first four out and that kind of concept. Also, I do like this down here that it's got, although it's not in order, I do wish this was in order in terms of that he had his true seed list, because I do think it's kind of misleading. You look down here, it's like, oh, Baylor's not one. No, they're fourth in his bracket. But the last four in, for the most part, I can agree with this. I don't agree with Florida being in. I believe Florida is 2-8 in quad one games. One of those being Auburn at home, the other one being beating Ohio State on a neutral court, which means they've only won one quad one game in all of conference. And for as good as the SEC is, at least at the top, that shows that they're not taking care of business on the road. Because you can play an average team in the SEC on the road and get a quad one game, right? VCU, I like VCU being in. VCU did have an injury to one of their guards, and they're playing a lot better with him now. I don't know about last four. I feel like they could be pushed up just a tad bit, especially with some of the stuff happening. I think Michigan's right there. I think 16-12 is kind of a tough record to kind of wrap your head around sometimes, so I'm fine with them being there. Same thing with Memphis. First four out, I think Wake should be in at this point. To my knowledge, I need to check again, but I don't think they have any bad losses. I think at this point, North Carolina should be in, but they should be almost like the last in at that point, because North Carolina, I think, also has one quad one victory, and I don't think they've got a single victory over any team in the field, at least in Jerry Palm's bracket. Rutgers, I know some people want Rutgers to be in. They've just got too many bad losses. Their net rating's too high. In the 70s, so we'll see. They're sneaking closer, but they need some more wins like last night. So let's go ahead and look at the bracket. All right, so as I said in the first video, I got this template online. I'm trying to remember exactly what I typed in, but I just typed in something like downloadable Excel March Madness bracket, and there's a website that had a link that had all this information out here, and I've just kind of filled in, and it has all the kind of stuff built in where you can go ahead and do drop-down menus and so forth. So this first matchup, Norfolk State is not beating Gonzaga. So we're not having another 16-1, at least with that one seed. Creighton and San Diego State. I'll be honest, I haven't watched San Diego State a lot. I'm excited to kind of watch the Mountain West tournament some, because I need to see some of these teams. I know they play good defense. They've got a scorer. Creighton I don't think they should be an 8 seed. That is way too high, because I know they just beat UConn last night, but they just lost their point guard. And so how are they going to figure themselves out this late in the year, coming off that major injury of their point guards? I got to go San Diego State there. Having a San Diego State-Gonzaga game. And so if you look down here, this is the West bracket. So if we go down here to the West, Florida, VCU. I'm going VCU there. Like I said, I don't think Florida should be in there, so I'm going to go VCU. And then I don't trust this Texas team. I think Chris Beard's good. I think he's going to be good when he gets his own players in there. But they've got a lot of guys who never really won anything. And so I don't really trust this Texas team at that point. Illinois, Towson. Towson's another team I'm excited to kind of watch during tournament week, because I know they've had a heck of a year, got a good net rating. But I think Illinois, just especially for smaller teams, is just too much with Kofi Cockburn. Now, Iowa State, BYU. BYU's a team I would have put in the last four. I think they've really struggled. Iowa State's been struggling recently, but that team plays defense, and I'm going to take Iowa State. Providence, Princeton. I like Providence. Then we got Ohio State, Notre Dame. This is a strange matchup, because I don't know what to think about Ohio State. And then Notre Dame's got some big wins, but then they lost at Florida State yesterday, and I believe Florida State literally didn't have a single starter playing that had started the year with all the injuries. So I'm going to go Ohio State. I just think E.J. Liddell, too much talent. He's not going to lose 2 years in a row in the first round. And then we got Kentucky. So now we go up here, Gonzaga, San Diego State. like I said, I need to watch San Diego State more. I think teams that can beat Gonzaga are teams that are going to try to slow down the pace and be physical. So San Diego State might have the talent or the style of play to kind of keep the game lower scoring and hang in there for a half. But ultimately, this Gonzaga team's too good. VCU, Illinois, I think Kofi Coburn is just the difference there. VCU plays phenomenal defense, but they don't have the size to hang with Kofi, and then Illinois can also stretch the floor with their three-point shooting, so I'm going Illinois. Then we got Iowa State, Providence, and I'm going to go Providence in that one. I just think their three-point shooting could be the difference. And then Ohio State, Kentucky, I think that's Kentucky pretty easy. So now I got Gonzaga, Illinois, and this is a tough one for me. I think Illinois matches up well with Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga struggles when you've got a physical low post presence and a team that can get up in you on defense and be physical, as we've seen. But I just think ultimately Illinois wavers too much in terms of they have one great game and then they don't show up for the next game. And so I just don't know which Illinois team shows up. If Illinois plays to the best of their abilities, they absolutely can beat Gonzaga, but I just don't trust them in this instance. So we got Providence, Kentucky. I think Kentucky's got too much size. It's not just Sheboy down low, it's just too much size all around. So I'm going Kentucky, which is this going to be an amazing Elite Eight matchup because I think Kentucky matches up really well with Gonzaga. And so I'm taking Kentucky in this, which I don't know why it's not showing up. That is so weird how it does that sometimes. Oh, I just got to scroll down. There we go. Taking Kentucky. Let's go with Kentucky in this. I think the key for Kentucky, in my opinion, is can Xavier Wheeler hit shots consistently? He doesn't have to be 40% from three, but can he hit 1 to 2 threes a game? And then who's going to be that second reliable three-point shooter? Because what we've seen in the tournament is you have to have guys who can fill it up from behind the arc. And we know Kellen Grady can, but who's going to be that reliable shooter? Can Ty Washington step up and be that? So that's kind of what they need. But I do think Kentucky can beat Gonzaga. Now we go down here, and Baylor versus the playing game, which would be in the West. That would be in the East. It would be Nicholls State and Cleveland State. The reason why it's not this one is Baylor's already played Alcorn State, so they can't have the potential of playing Alcorn State again. Murray State, Marquette. What a good story with Marquette. I think Murray State's too tough, so I'm going Murray State. Plus, shout out to my high school where, I just forgot. It's Justice Hill, Juice Hill, where he's from. So shout out to Justice Hill. What an amazing job for Murray State. And then I think it's Tevin Brown, I think is his name. Just unreal. He's unconscious from three a lot. So, and then the big man down low, they're a heck of a team. UConn, Iona. That's going to be a fun one. I think UConn's got too much talent. Tennessee and Chattanooga. This is a potential upset game, and it'd be great to see this. The state of Tennessee would be awesome. I don't trust Tennessee away from home. And so this is going to be an upset I choose. I think Chattanooga can take down Tennessee because they've got some Division I level talent that is transferred in. So we'll see. Now Colorado State versus the 11 seed, which is Memphis. Oh gosh, who was it? Memphis and Michigan, not Memphis and Memphis. I'm going to take Memphis in that one. I think Penny's got this team rolling. They play really good defense. And then I'm taking Colorado State here. So I think Memphis will get one tournament win. The buzz on Penny Hardaway will settle down a little bit. Now we got Villanova and Vermont. Vermont's a good team, but I think Villanova, you really can't pick Villanova to be upset before the Sweet 16. It's only happened once. Jay Wright, no matter what team he has, it's just that this time of year, man, they know how to get it done. Now TCU, San Francisco. I'm going to go with San Francisco in this one. Partly because I just want to see that. Because I love San Francisco in terms of I like seeing these different teams kind of step up. And then we got Duke and Jacksonville State. So let's go Duke. Now up here, this is going to be an amazing game. I think Baylor has got the edge. Murray State could be a tough 8 seed. But then again, we've only seen them play one real quality team, and that was Auburn, and they hung in there a little bit, but ultimately lost by double figures, so we'll see. But I think Murray State is usually the game after a team pulls an upset like that, which I guess this isn't really an upset, that's when it's best to play them. But I'm going Baylor there. UConn, Chattanooga, going UConn. Hard to win upset 2 times in a row. Then going Villanova here. I think Colin Gillespie and those seniors they have, they're going to have a will to get to this point. Then we got Duke and Coach K's final run. I think Duke's taking down San Francisco. And then Baylor and UConn. This is going to be a good matchup. UConn's big man down low can give Baylor trouble. So that could be an issue. I think Baylor ultimately, and remember, this is not based off if LJ Cryer comes back. This is based off how they're playing right now, and that's how I approach this. And I think they're playing really well defensively right now. If you look at how they ended the last 2 games, really impressive. It's always tough to win on the road. How they finished at Texas was big, and how they beat Kansas. I'm going to go Baylor over UConn, but I think it would be a really, really close game. And then here we got Duke and Villanova, and this is a tough one. I think I still don't really know how good Duke is just because of how bad the ACC is. And I think I'm going to take Villanova. So we get a rematch of what we saw earlier in the year. And then I think Baylor will win that one too. I think they've just got a little bit more talent. So we're going to have Baylor Kentucky. And this is probably the worst matchup Baylor could have. Because of Baylor's injury to Chama Chachua, I think they lack some size. Or lack depth at that position. So the question is, can Sheboy and Brooks and those guys get the Baylor players in foul trouble? And I think the answer is yes. And so, where is it? Let's go Kentucky in this one. Hate to do that. So Baylor's one of the teams I like, but yeah, Kentucky. I think that's a terrible matchup for Baylor. Now on this other end, we have Auburn versus the playing game, so going Auburn. And then Seton Hall, Iowa. Iowa is one of the weird teams to me. Like, how do you seed them? Because they're on a roll right now. They've only got, I think, 8 losses on the year, something like that. But they've only got 1 quad 1 win. I think they've only got 4 wins in the first 2 quadrants. So they've really just beat up on bad teams. And Keegan Murray's great, but which Jordan Bohannon is going to show up? And I think Seton Hall will ultimately get that one. North Texas. Ooh. I'm gonna take North Texas in this one. Alabama is just I don't know what to think about that team this year. They're just so hit or miss. Like they've beaten 3 of the top 4 teams in the net ranking, but then they lost to A&M at home last night. They lost at Missouri. They lost at Georgia. Like how does this happen? I think North Texas is a really good basketball team. And then UCLA. I think New Mexico State could pull off the upset, but I'm going for UCLA there. And then now we're looking at Houston and Miami. I'm not sold on Miami. I'm not sold on the ACC at all. So I'm going to go Houston. Purdue, Northern Iowa. I think Northern Iowa can shoot, but they can't really play defense too much. And ultimately, Purdue will get that win. Then with Michigan State, Wyoming. Michigan State's still pretty high as a 7 seed. I'm going Wyoming in that upset. I like this Wyoming team. I know they lost last night. But I like, it's hard to win road games in conference, and I really like Wyoming. Then we got Kansas. Then here at the top, Auburn, Seton Hall could be a lot of fun, but I think Auburn will be able to get that game won. And then we go North Texas, UCLA, going UCLA. So Houston, Purdue. Let's go with Purdue in this one. I just think Houston at this point is they play phenomenal defense, but they really struggle to score sometimes. And even though Purdue's defense is not good at all, I think they're good enough to get past Houston because Houston's got no quad 1 wins on the year. And then we got Kansas. Now, this is one of the tournaments. Like I said, I haven't watched a ton of UCLA, but I know they haven't looked as good at times as they did last year. There's just something about this Auburn team, and it's really just based on their guard play and how terrible shots they take that I'm not really sold on. But I think for this one, I think they will get to the Elite 8, but that's as far as they're going to go. And then I think Kansas would beat Purdue, and then I think ultimately Kansas would beat Auburn. I think the experience from Kansas would win out, and Ochai Abachi is going to get himself to the Final Four. So now in this last one, we have Arizona and Colgate, which that's got to be one of the best 16 seeds. My goodness, Colgate can shoot, and they're 14-2 in their conference. I think 16-2, something like that. So that's not an easy game for a 1 seed. Then we got Boise State, Davidson. I think defense Boise State plays, it's going to be too much for Davidson. Because Davidson, the A-10 has been bad this year. So it's not like they're coming from a vaunted mid-major conference right now. St. Mary's, South Dakota State. I'm going to go South Dakota State in that upset. I think that team's 18-0. They know how to win. We got Arkansas, Toledo. Going Arkansas, but Toledo might – Toledo's a good team. That's not a fun 13 seed to draw. That's crazy. The two of the three teams that I kind of cheer for get a get a bad draw from those 13 seeds with Illinois and Arkansas. Then USC, SMU. I'm just going SMU purely because I don't know what we're going to get out of USC. USC doesn't look good. Texas Tech, and then down here we got LSU, Xavier. I think Xavier is reeling, so I'm going to go LSU, and then we got Wisconsin. Now here we got Boise State, Arizona. I'm going to go Arizona. I think that's just too much for Boise State, a team that really struggles to score. I talk about how Tech struggles to score sometimes. Boise State struggles even more. So then we got South Dakota State, Arkansas. Could be a close game, but Arkansas ultimately will get the win. And then we got SMU, Texas Tech. And I'm going to go Texas Tech. And then Wisconsin, Long Beach State. Let's go Wisconsin. Now this is where it's going to get interesting. I think Arizona's going to beat Arkansas. I don't think Arkansas can hang with them. I think Arkansas has a really good defense and has the potential to slow Arizona down some, but Arkansas cannot shoot the basketball, and that's going to come back to haunt them at some point. They can't shoot the basketball and they can't rebound. Those two things are going to come back to haunt them in this instance. Now, I think it would be a close game, but I do think Arizona would pull that out. And then Texas Tech, Wisconsin, both these teams play good defense. I think Texas Tech is one of those instances where they're just the better team and they get it done. They're not going to be able to beat Arizona, though, as Arizona is going to go to the Final Four. So now we've got Kentucky, Kansas, and Arizona. And I don't – this is one to me. It's just kind of a toss-up. I'm gonna go Arizona. I think Arizona is going to win this game just because I think in this instance the issue is Kansas wants to get up and down the court. Kansas doesn't want to slow it down. Their defense isn't great this year, and what that's doing is that's playing right into Arizona's hand. And I think Arizona's better at that than Kansas is. Now, if Kansas was like some old Kansas teams where they really buckled down the defensive end, where they had what's his name from 2 years ago, where they could block a lot of shots and all this stuff, I would maybe take Kansas. But this team wants to get up and run, and you're not going to do that better than Arizona. So we got Kentucky and Arizona. And I think ultimately Arizona. This is kind of crazy how this turns out sometimes because I'm not necessarily a huge fan of this Arizona team. Like I think maybe certain matchups they could really struggle. But I think at this point, like they're playing a lot of teams here that kind of want to play the same style they do. So the matchups overall have favored them. So I would take Arizona, and I would take it as a 84-78 win. Would be my final. So there's my bracket. Based off Jerry Palm's bracket, how this would turn out. Now, one thing I am going to do tomorrow for the first time is because I like trying to project a bracket like they do. You know, they obviously do it for a living, are experts, but I still like to try to do it for fun, try to research teams, research stats, all that different stuff. And so tomorrow I will be having my first projected bracket out, and I plan on doing probably one more or maybe two more as we kind of get towards tournament time. But this is the best time of year. Once again, would love your thoughts. And one other thing I want to mention real quick for those of you that stuck around is sometimes we maybe forget, or I know I've wondered in the past, how do they decide which brackets the playing games go to and so forth. And so like if you look here, all the playing games, we got one here, we had Memphis here, and then we have one over here. So 3 of the 4 playing games are on this side of the bracket. And what it does is it all comes down to dates. You need to have one 16-16 playing game on the Thursday-Friday schedule in terms of when they would play if they win. Then you need to have the other one on Friday, Sunday. And then same thing with the other teams that are not the automatic qualifiers, the last 4 in. And so, for instance, here – where's the first one? VCU. So VCU's in Buffalo. Buffalo is a Thursday, Saturday schedule. So then that means the other play-in game, which was Memphis, that's Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is Friday, Sunday. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily end up where the number 1 seed gets to play a play-in because of either potentially already played that team or just how it kind of works out with matchups. Like, for instance, Fort Worth is Thursday, Saturday. Greensville is Friday, Sunday. So just that's how it kind of ended up working out. And so that's just a little bit of knowledge on that. So like I said, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you enjoy this content, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.